Hey everybody, it's Ian the Off Kilter Crafter. I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're going to be making this fun interactive card. It is a spinner card, and as you can see here, there is a spinning element to it. So you get to kind of randomize, and the recipient gets to play with it, and there's a lot of fun things that you can do with this. So I'm using some Lawn Fawn stamps and dies, which you've seen the stamp set before. I have been working on this idea for a while in my head, and as you'll see in this video, it took me a lot longer than anticipated to put it together because I had the idea, but I really needed to work through it. So I've edited a lot of this video. Edited, that's a fun word to say. I have edited. I feel like I'm repeating myself like aluminum. I've edited this video down a lot. And I am going to be skipping some parts so that way you're not here for 2 hours, because like I said, this card took me a lot longer than anticipated. I think it's actually taken me pretty close to 2 hours to get this one done. So let's go ahead and check out how I put this one together. To get started today, I'm going to be using a stamp set that you should be very familiar with, and I do have the coordinating dies, as y'all know. This is the Lawn Fawn Beam Me Up stamp set, and I had a really fun idea for this card. So, I mean, you already saw it, so you already know what the special surprise is on it. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun once we get it all put together. And we're going to go ahead and start off by taking the stamps and just kind of laying them out on my scrap piece of paper. This is a piece of paper that I used for a project that didn't end up needing or using. So I'm just going to lay my images out across it, and then we'll color them in once we've die cut them. Okay, I've got all my images placed where I want them. I'm using some Memento, it's upside down, Memento Tuxedo Black ink for this, and I normally do Copic coloring whenever I'm working with stamping like this, but today I think I'm going to switch it up and do some distress markers instead for today's project, so we'll see how well that goes. But I'm using Memento since it's an archival ink, fade resistant dye ink. I believe it's an archival ink. Somewhere it says archival ink on here. And I am using my Tim Holtz tonic platform just to make sure I get the best impression possible, because I feel like my Memento ink pad is a little dry. It's not as juicy as it used to be. I do have a refill, and it just seems like this one dries up faster than just about any other stamp pad that I have. Even my distress inks and distress products last longer, it seems like, than this Memento. I have no idea why, but anyways. So I am stamping it out on my Tim Holtz stamp platform to get the best impression possible, and there we go. And we'll go ahead and do some die cutting, or actually we'll start with coloring first, and then we'll do the die cutting. I can't talk, it seems like ever. Like I said, I'm going to be using distress markers to color this all in, so sit back, relax, and I'll put some music on and do some coloring. In order to create the spinning element, I want to show you here on my iPad how I made it. Basically, it's a simple shape, so we're just going to add in a square, and we're going to set it up so that it is 5 by 7. And I'm also going to change it to white. That helps us see a little bit better on what we're doing. And I'm going to go back to my layers panel, and I'm just going to go ahead and straight up copy my circle here. Well, I can't do that, so because I have to bring everything with it. So I'll build it from scratch again. It's not that hard. I put it in just like so, and again I sized it just shy of 5 inches, so I think it was 4.8 if I remember correctly. Oops, and my lock wasn't on, so I need to do it the other way as well, 4.8. So it turns it into a circle, just like that. And that looks about right because I want it to be just slightly smaller than the rectangle. So I'm also going to, again, change it to white so that way it's easier to see. That's the only reason I'm changing it to white, so that way it's easy to see and you know exactly what you're dealing with and where you're dealing with it at. Alright, so now what I did is I took not an image, but I took a line, and we're going to put it right in the center, and I'm going to match it up right there and take it down to the bottom right there. And then I'm going to duplicate this one and rotate it 90 degrees. And I grabbed the wrong thing. Let's grab the line. Sometimes it's hard to grab the lines. They're so narrow. There we go. I'm going to bring it back up, and I'm going to put it snap it right into place. There we go. Alright, so now we need to attach one line. So we'll hit Actions and Attach. And we need to do that with the second line. So I'm going to tap my first line, tap and hold on the circle, and hit Attach. So now that circle has these score lines attached to it. And these score lines are helping so that way I know exactly where the center is, and I also can divide my segments up into the proper quadrants. Whenever I'm stamping or whatever I'm doing with it, I know exactly where that line is going to end up. Now that I have my circle with the different quadrants in it, I want to add another circle. And this is going to go right in the center to be where our brad is at. And I sized this one, I think it was 0.1 inch if I remember correctly. It's super tiny. Really, really tiny. So what I'm going to do is I have my very tiny circle selected. I'm also going to grab and hold, or tap and hold I should say, on my bigger circle. And we're going to go to the Align, and I want to align center. So now that little circle is right smack dab in the center of the circle. So that way whenever we rotate it, it's not going to be lopsided. Alright. So now what I want to do is I want to grab the tiny circle and the bigger circle. Oh, I guess I have to detach. I thought I could do this all at once, but maybe I can't. Let me try. Yep, I can't. I have to detach that. Alright, no big deal. We'll hit detach. We'll hit detach again. Detach. Alright, so now we have the circle, which is the itty bitty circle for the hole, and then we have the circle, which is the big circle that we're going to be using, and I just want to slice. So this is the tiny one, or no, that's the big one, sorry. That's the tiny one. We want to get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. And now we need to push this one all the way back. Arrange, move to back. So now we have these two right here. So I'm going to take that, tap and hold on the circle. It selects both of them, and now I can attach. Do the same thing with the other line. I want to make sure that it is up front so that way we see it. Move to front. Tap and hold on the circle. It selects both of them, and attach. So there we go. There's all of our images all sliced up nice. And you can see that circle crosses right over the center of our bigger circle. So that's where the brad is going to go. Now I'm going to bring in another circle. We're using a lot of circles for this project. And I sized this one down a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what I sized it, but it's whatever you want to size it to. I think, so if I put this about here, that yellow line indicates that it's centered. So I think it was roughly about there. Yeah, so that shows that this is now lined up. I'm I'm gonna move it over just a hair more. I have my black circle highlighted. I'm gonna tap and hold on the rectangle, and we're gonna slice this. There we go. We don't need this part. We don't need this part. And now we have the little tab area that you can use to, your recipient can use to spin the wheel. Now I'm going to duplicate this one more time, the circle that is. See if I can grab that circle down there. So there's that. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to get rid of the score lines because I don't need that for this. So detach, detach. We don't need the score lines for this part of it. I just want this circle. Now over here down towards the right, just above the redo button, you see hide contour. I'm going to click that button because I want to hide the big circle and keep the small circle. There it is. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, there's my little circle, there's my bigger circle, and on the iPad it's going to be a little easier. There it is right there. Do you see how those yellow lines show up as I dragged my small circle over? That indicates that that's going to drop the circle right above where that brad needs to be. So the brad is going to hold all of this together, and that spot is perfect for it. So again, I'm not going to release that small circle. I want to make sure that I'm selecting both the small circle for the brad and the card top. So I'm going to tap and hold, and that selects both of them. Sounds like I was about to say bison. And I'm going to slice it out. So now, there's that one. I don't need that anymore. It's gone, and I have a place for where the brad will go. So that's how I put these two cards together. That's how I made my, you can tell they're a little bit different because I did it a little differently this time, but each time you make it, you can get a result that you need for what you're looking for. This is how I did it for this project. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete all of this for now, and we'll continue on. All right, I've got most of my die cutting done, and now here comes one of the most crucial parts of this. I need this part to cover up the pen. We don't want the little brad showing, but we want enough room for when we're doing our little beam coming out. That's what I was trying to think of. When the beam comes out from underneath the spaceship, we want enough room down there that it shows. So I'm gonna put this right here. I want to make sure that everything is lined up as best as possible, and I've already lost where that hole got off to. There it is. Okay, so there's our hole. Lines up right there. And it looks like our spot is going to be right about here. Let's cross our fingers that all of this works the way that I want it to. Ooh, and it's shifting already. I hate this. I hate the die companies that put all of that sticky glue on the back of the dies because it makes it almost impossible to die cut. But that's okay. Alright, so we want right about there. Actually, I'm gonna tinker with this a little off camera. I'll be right back. Alright, so I think I have this where it needs to be. I hope this hasn't shifted at all. If it has, you know what, it'll be fine. So let's cross our fingers and hope this all works. It looks like it worked correctly because the holes are lined up and we have our little area right there that shows through. So I think it did work out. We'll find out for sure soon enough. Okay, while we were gone there for a moment, I went ahead and cut some more shapes, which I have off to the side here, because I realized I'm going to need a pilot to cover up the hole, because the spaceship is going to be a little bit lower than what I anticipated, so the little hole will show. So that means I need to have a little pilot in there to help with that and whatnot. So anyways, it's time to go ahead and assemble this. What I'm going to do is I have these little brads that I have not yet opened. I think somebody sent these to me, but I can't remember who off the top of my head. So I'm gonna open these up, and we're gonna use one of them to go through the center of the card here and attach our little beam to the card. So what I'm gonna do is this piece, which you may or may not be able to see the score lines on it. I can't see it on my screen here, so I don't think y'all can see that. But basically that's kind of dividing up our little sections, so that way as you spin, you can see, like, you know what those lines are for, but somebody who receives the card, they're not gonna know what that's about. So that works just like that, and I'm gonna flip it over onto the back side. And we're gonna open up these little doohickeys. I need longer nails to do this. There we go. All right. So we'll open up the brad just like that. And so now it is attached and spins. Look how fun that is. That's gonna be so much fun once we get it all put together. All right, so now what we need to do, what's the next step? I'm trying to think off the top of my head here. So now let's go ahead and I think put down our spaceship. No, probably shouldn't do that yet. Probably should do our stamping first. Okay, so what I want to do, so there's our first section. So what I want to do is I want to include one of these guys with like a little shape. Something like that maybe. Okay, I'm gonna work this out. I'm gonna speed things up a little bit so you don't have to sit here for half an hour while I figure this out. I'll be right back. Okay, you probably are asking why I just put those triangles, or those squares, excuse me, can't even tell what shape I'm using, squares back behind, in between the yellow wheel and the black piece of paper. That's because I want to give it a little bit of room, because these shapes are exactly the same thickness as what my paper is, so that will allow these shapes to go underneath without bumping into the sides here. So that gives it a little more room to work with, and I think will be a helpful little kind of step that makes sure that they don't end up bumping the sides as they're spinning. So okay, now that I've gotten that done, now I can move on to putting these little guys in. Alright, for this guy, I literally just cut a little triangle off of a corner of a piece of scrap paper to make his little party hat, just like that. Alright, so if we go back, we got this guy, we got this guy, and now in this final section is where I'm going to put the birthday greeting in. So right here, we need to put the little birthday greeting in, and from this stamp set, the Beam Me Up, it's gonna say happy birthday, and I want my words to kind of be cattywampus because they're all getting beamed up anyways, and the little exclamation point doesn't want to stay up. Alright, let's see here. There we go. I think I'm gonna lose the exclamation point for now. I may add it in just a second. Let's get it all inked up. I think just like that. Cool. All right. Okay, now I have the it's the dotted line stamp, and I think in between images I am going to have this guy run along. So that way it kind of looks like it's activated at that moment, I guess. I don't know. That's just kind of what I'm saying. Alright, perfect. So as it goes around, it kind of looks like it's beams of light as they're headed into the spaceship. So perfect. Alright, I'm happy with that. Put these stamps away and we'll continue on. Alright, so now it's time to put the rest of these shapes on. I haven't said this already, but I'm using Tombow Extreme Adhesive to place all these shapes on, and the next one that I want to place is going to be my little pilot inside of the UFO. Can't think of names today, apparently. And we're just going to place them right in there. And then I'm also going to put some adhesive on the back of him, so that way he's placed and taped down nicely. And I want to place it so that it looks like it's just above that. Now he's going to stick up a little bit, but I've mostly taped him down. This would probably not be a card that I would send through the mail, just because I don't want it to end up hurting this. And in fact, the more I think about it, let's see. Well, I can't pull it back up. It'll be fine like that. So that still lets it spin. Ooh, it spins pretty nicely too. Look at that. Whee! Okay, stop playing. Get back to work, Ian. Okay, I just had a great idea for what I wanted to do for this, so need to pull out my stamps again because I forgot to put the sentiment. I'm going to use the Take Us to Your Cake, I think. I think that will be the one that I use, the greeting for this, and I'm going to need to grab some scratch paper and stamp this out, so be right back. Just when I think I'm done and figured everything out, I think of something else to do. So I'm using this stamp set. You've seen this before from Sweet Stamp Shop. Speech Bubble is the name of this one. And we'll use this speech bubble today. If I can find an acrylic block, there we go. And I'm actually going to, yeah, I want it like that. So I'm gonna stamp it like this. Perfect, oh, so good. All right, so now let's die cut this out and I'll be back as soon as I do that. Okay, I am back and I have die cut it, stamped it, die cut it, did all the stuff to it. This card has taken me a lot longer than anticipated, mostly because I didn't know which direction I was going with to begin with. That always is something very important, so whenever you're working on creating a card, always kind of have a general idea of where you're going with it. And with this one I had the idea for the spinner element, but couldn't figure out all the things that were incorporated with that. So this tape sometimes just drives me crazy. There we go. Alright. So I am almost done with this. Just got to wrap this up. Alright, so now I'm going to grab my white jelly pen and get it started on my finger. And then I'm just going to go around and randomly put some stars onto the front of the card here. Alright, we are almost done with this card. We just need to put it onto the card base now, which I'm going to use some more black cardstock. I had my Cricut cut this out and then score it, or I should say score it and then cut it out. So the score line is already there. I just need to fold it until that line appears. And I'm super excited for the new scoring tool from Cricut. Can't wait for that to come out. But for now, we'll do it like that. Okay, it is now time to put this card onto the base, and I'm just gonna flip it over and start applying these little dots of adhesive. I don't have any of that lovely tape roll, so this is what it's gonna have to be. I'm putting this adhesive, the foam adhesive, on because I want to make sure that there's enough room underneath so that way this wheel will spin. I could have glued it straight down and it probably would have worked out okay, but just to make sure, I want to put some of this foam adhesive on the back, and I really wish I had some of that roll to make this 10 times easier instead of having to go through and take off all the backing paper for these little dots, but that's fine. It'll be all right. Okay, not gonna lie, that really sucked getting all of those uncovered, but that's fine. It's gonna be well worth it in the end. So now I'm just gonna line up my card with the base. This is always the tricky part for me. I don't know, Christina Warner always makes it look so freaking easy, and I can never seem to get it just right, but we're gonna get it as close as possible. Whether that's it or not, that's close enough for me. The only thing that I think, as I was pulling off those little tabs, the only thing that I thought could make it better is if there was like a, if I had one of those turn me kind of things right here, but no big deal. Yeah, if I could have like one of those stamp sets that say turn here or turn me or whatever, I think that would make it even better, but this is close enough, so there you go. Look how cool that is. That is so much fun. I like that a lot. Lots of fun. So there is the finished card for today. So I hope you enjoyed today's card and watching me work through as I put it together. I always want to make sure that you are inspired, and I hope you will take some chances and some risks and do something outside of your comfort zone so that way you can get some really cool rewards like this one. I think this is one of my favorite cards that I've done, although I say that a lot, so it's kind of hard to pick a favorite. But anyways, I definitely would love to see if you make any kind of spinning window cards like this. I know that I think it's Lawn Fawn just came out with a die set that has a window, and that's what inspired me to try and look through my dies to find out if I had one that would kind of have the same effect. So I hope this inspires you to give it a try and think outside of the box. And don't forget, if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know that you liked my video, and then hopefully YouTube will share it across YouTube land. You can also subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. Make sure to hit that red button down below there, says subscribe. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and get great updates every time I post a new video or go live by clicking that bell icon. It's very important that you click that bell icon, otherwise you won't get notifications on any of my videos or live events. And as always, my favorite quote says, normal is just a setting on the dryer. Bye!